Sorry about that, babe.
What's up, guys? It's Cody aka the Bear here with Bits and Glory, and we are back with... You're seeing this in 2023, but this is actually my final pickup video of 2022. I think I did the same thing last year. Also, apologies. Might look like I have zits all over my face. I'm actually having a little bit of a hive attack. But you know what? The show must go on. So, these games are from, I would say, November... There might be one or two from October, but the majority of them are from November and December of 2022. Some of these were splurge items, because I recently got a pretty sizable bonus. Some of them were gifts for Christmas, and some of them were actually part of a deal that I did with an old friend, which we'll get into more later. But without any further rambling, I would say let's get started with the... Well, I guess I can't quite do that because that would kind of be messed up as far as the ordering goes. So let's actually, you know what, we'll start off with the deal with an old friend. So, the other day, I guess it was probably a little less than a week ago for me now, as I'm recording this, I posted a picture on Instagram and Facebook and all that kind of stuff of Quake 64, which came from the big lot that I got back in the summer of 2021. As you guys know, I'm not a huge N64 guy. I did have it growing up. It just never really appealed to me. And as far as like the, you know, the lifespan and long-lasting effect on me, you know, that was more so SNES, NES, Sega Genesis, and Game Boy. Although I do still appreciate the N64. Anyways, an old friend of mine reached out to me on the post and basically was like, "Hey, are you interested in any N64 games?" And I was like, "Yeah." We did a little bit of talking. And we actually agreed on a deal for two particular games. But I guess he must have been in the Christmas spirit and is greatly appreciated. He also threw in other games that I had no idea that he even had. I guess he didn't want them anymore and just wanted to be nice around the holidays. And that friend is named Chris. I believe when he played he was actually in Bits and Glory when we used to be a Tecmo Super Bowl league. I don't remember how many leagues he was in. Might have been in only a couple. But he went by Tecmo Ninja, I believe. Yeah, great guy. We, you know, stayed in touch here and there, you know, over the years on social media and whatnot. And thank you so much for the extra ads, which we'll get to now. So, the basis of the deal, like I said, revolved around two N64 games. And the first four games that I'm going to show you were thrown in for free, essentially. Super nice of him. First isn't even an N64 game. It is it's a homebrew game. I'm trying to get it here. I got everything in a protective casing, so it's going to be hard to see. It's called Death Complex, and apparently, from what I remember, it was created by another Tecmo player. The name is escaping me right now. Can't remember his name. I apologize. But I took a look at this on YouTube, and it seems pretty sick. Definitely a game that I would like to play, and I'm so glad, you know, obviously that Chris was nice enough to throw this in, so thank you. Next were some N64 games that were not expected at all. And the best part was, two of the three I didn't even have. So it's like, wow, like, thank you so much. You know, like, I don't have a massive N64 collection, but, you know, I still will take anything I don't have, gladly. So, you know, obviously this stuff is very welcomed in the collection. First we have NBA Hang Time on the N64. I put my own end labels on it that I got on eBay. Again, a game that I didn't have, so I will gladly, you know, add this to the collection. Thank you. Similarly, we have Lode Runner 3D, a game that I did not have in the collection. I played Lode Runner, I think, back on NES. It was pretty decent, so I'm interested to see how this is. And this was part of his original, you know, image that he showed me. And I actually turned it down. I told him I already had the game, complete in box. But he sent it to me anyway. And this was... God, excuse me. This was actually a condition upgrade for me. So I'm actually keeping this one. It still has the cellophane on it too, which is pretty cool. Anytime a game has the original cellophane on it, I do like to, you know, kind of preserve it as so. Wow, I've been up quite a bit tonight. Jeez. Anyway. And here are the two games that were the basis of the deal. They were games that I already had, but I didn't have the manuals and the box for. And first is Donkey Kong 64. Again, didn't have the manual or the box. Well, actually, I take that back. I did have the manual, unbeknownst to me. And surprisingly, this didn't have the manual in it. It had all the normal inserts and stuff. Rumble Pack, or not the Rumble Pack, the expansion pack was not included. But that's fine, because I already have one. So this is really cool to get. Definitely a game that I'd love to have in the box, and now I have it. And then lastly, we got Banjo-Tooie, the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie. A game that I had, but I did not have the instruction manual or the box, as well as the inserts. And now I do. So I'm very glad to have that. And yet again, I wanted to give a shout out and a thank you to Chris, aka Tecmo Ninja, for working out this deal with me and being so generous, giving me the extra goodies. I appreciate it. And as mentioned, despite my literal hive attack, the show must go on. I'm starting to get pretty itchy though, I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm overheated down here. The heat just kind of really kicked on, and long story short, it's been something I've been dealing with for on and off for about 2 years now. People remember when I first came down with this in 2020, I had a few hive attacks on stream and I had to end stream early. Kind of annoying. Picks and chooses when it comes, and I guess tonight it wants to come. Pause. Of course, because I have to do a bunch of recording with my face on camera, but anyway, enough of that. Let's get into stuff that I got for Christmas from my family. From my parents, to be exact. Okay, let's get started with the stack from Christmas. We got Axelay here on the SNES, which is a pretty cool shoot-'em-up. I previously owned the Super Famicom version of it, which is, to be honest with you, fairly similar. But, you know, being the collector, I wanted to get the NTSC American version, and now I have it. Thank you so much to my parents. And to kind of cut everybody's losses, help the losses, if you will, I already sold my Super Famicom version today, so pretty cool. Next is a game that I've been wanting for quite some time. I did actually buy it on eBay, like, I don't know, 6 months ago or something like that, and the seller never shipped it to me. It was really weird, but my parents were gracious enough to get this for me, and I'm so happy to add this to the collection. And that's Felix the Cat. This is a pristine copy, by the way. It's just like mint as shit. I didn't even have to clean it, fire it up on the first try. The label is just perfect. This is a very, very fun kind of action platformer, if you will. It's a rather easy game, although it's a bit long. There's a lot of levels. I would like to do it no death, but I think, you know, the longer the games are, the more levels there are. Obviously, it opens you up to, you know, more potential issues and stuff, so it might be a little bit tougher than I expected, but we'll see. Next is an RPG that I had my eye on for quite some time. I have like a, probably, I don't know, I guess like a list of maybe like 15 more PS1 games that I want, and this was on there, so I'm super happy to add this to the collection. And that is Star Ocean: The Second Story on the PS1. This is complete. The discs are all in great shape. I fired it up today to make sure that it worked appropriately, and it did. Looked like it was having a little bit of trouble with my RetroTink 5X Pro though, which, spoiler alert, I'm not really going to cover in this video. I got one recently, which is amazing. But when it switches, like, PS1 switches resolutions quite frequently, like Silent Hill 1 is a perfect example of that, where I guess some capture cards have a tough time dealing with it, so I'm assuming either the 5X and or the capture card double link that I got going on doesn't like it, so I'll have to figure that out. Maybe it'll be as simple as updating the firmware, I don't know, but I'm very, very happy to add this to the collection. Thank you again to the parents. And the last one, funny story, this is a game that I used to own back in college, so we're talking, I don't know, what, 15 years ago, 14 years ago, something like that, I can't remember now. I got this on eBay for, no lie, 99 cents. It was an auction, it was poorly listed, and I also got like George Foreman Boxing and something else from the same seller for 99 cents. All of which, those games have been traded away. This was a major regret trade of mine. As I said, it was complete, it was mint, like it had all the packages, all the inside packaging, if you will, as well as all the inserts along with the instruction manual. This is not in as good a shape as that was, but I'm still very happy to add this to the collection, and it's complete, so. And that is Shatterhand. I guess it's re-added to the collection, right? It's a very, very fun action platformer. Apparently the not Super Famicom, the regular Famicom version is pretty good as well. But as I said, this was a game that I had in my collection complete, and I traded it probably back in... I acquired it, I want to say, in about 2007 or 8, and then I probably traded it in 2012. Another regretful trade of mine was I traded Spike McFang on SNES around that same time. But, you know, things weren't as expensive as they were back then, so, you know, mistakes were made. But thank you so much to the parents for re-adding this to my collection. This is definitely a game that we'll be covering on the channel at some point. Alright, and now we're going to get into some quote-unquote splurge games that were just, you know, regular purchases of mine, also with the aid of the bonus that I mentioned. First, we'll get started with some, I guess, fairly uncommon titles for the SNES that I didn't have. Ones that were on my list and I just never really got around to. And then we'll get into some of the bigger stuff. Not going to spend too much time here, but this is Dino City. It's an IRAM game. I always thought this game looked really cool. I saw it in my Super Famicom / SNES compendium book. I'll be honest with you, I played it for a little bit. It's not that good. It's just like, okay, at best. But, you know, reasonable price, uncommon game I didn't have. Super happy to add this. Next is one that I know is on multiple consoles. I want to say Sega CD, Amiga, possibly Genesis, something else. Who knows? Not the best game, but I'll be honest, I played it for a little bit and I enjoyed this more than I enjoyed Dino City. And that's Wolfchild. Looks like it's Virgin Games. It's a very, like, futuristic, sort of, at times clunky, action platformer shooter. Again, not the best game I've ever played, but certainly, I would say, you know, worth the purchase, and I will play this at some point. Next, we got Porky Pig's Haunted Holiday, which is a game that I could have sworn that I had, but apparently I didn't. And this is on a lot of underrated SNES lists, and I'll be honest with you, I played it for a little bit. It seems pretty cool. Decent atmosphere, the game itself seems pretty fun, so I am definitely eager to dive into this at some point. Next is a game that I remember renting as a kid, and I really enjoyed it. I played through it a little bit, and yeah, probably a little bit of nostalgia glasses. It's still good, but it wasn't as good as I remembered. And that's, I don't know how to pronounce it, Skulljagger? Who is it? American Software Corp. Revolt of the Westikins is the full title here. The interesting side-scrolling action platformer. The seller didn't take a picture of this, which kind of annoyed me, but it is what it is. I'm happy to add this to the collection. As I said, I remember renting this as a kid. So, pretty cool nostalgia factor for me. Lastly is one that I saw on SNES Drunk, and I was inspired because of recently watching Mad Max. And that is Outlander on the SNES. It's a Mindscape game, I believe. It's a very repetitive and somewhat tedious game, to be honest with you. It doesn't seem like the best, but I do like the, you know, the Mad Max vibes of it all, so I'll probably give it a go at some point. Who knows when, though. Alright, and now we're going to get into some of the heavier hitters from my bonus. Alright, first we're going to get into a complete in-box game. That's not quite a heavy hitter, actually, but it was an interesting one. It's almost like a knockoff Contra, and it's not nearly as good. That is Time Slip on the SNES by Vic Tokai. Again, kind of a Contra-style game, but nowhere near as good. It's a little bit slow, it's a little bit weird hit detection. Overall, just not perfect. But it's one, again, an uncommon game that I didn't have. And the price for this complete compared to the price of the loose cartridge was very close. I figured I would just go complete at that point. Okay, I guess, yeah, let's go with this first. So this is a game that I piecemealed together. I got the cartridge from Jimmy. I bought the manual months ago, and then I got a good offer for the box finally, and I splurged. And that is Shadowgate 64. Again, I kind of covered this in previous pickups videos. I'm not really going to talk about it too much. Kind of a third-person, sort of clunky, you know, modern Shadowgate. I haven't played it really yet myself, but I do hope to get to it at some point. Hopefully in 2023, we'll see. It's technically Shadowgate 64 Trials of the Four Towers. The box isn't in perfect shape. It's a little dented, I guess you could say, but good enough for me. Alright, so now we're kind of getting into some serious heavy hitters. This one's kind of like the leadoff, and then after that it's pretty heavy. Like I said, I got a pretty good bonus lately, and you know, at holiday season, decided to go hard. Hopefully this pickups video, you know, wets all of your palates, because I will definitely be reeling back in the near future. Also, I forgot to mention, right here, the Street Fighter 2 / Capcom Arcade 1-Up cabinet was one of my Christmas gifts as well. It's super cool. I hooked it up today. You have to assemble the whole thing yourself, which is a bit of a pain, but it is what it is. Also, I just realized I forgot to move my cat's litter box, so enjoy that. Next is Aero the Acrobat 2. I had the first one, so gotta get the second, right? This is not super pricey, but it's definitely like a higher-end uncommon game, if you will. Never the biggest fan of this series, but I've heard good things, so I feel like if I give it a better run, you know, as an adult, I'll probably enjoy it a little bit more than I did when I was a kid, so happy to add this. But now, we're gonna get into the real heavy hitters, so I'm gonna move everything off of here. Alright, we have some loose SNES cartridges coming up first. And the first one is Ninja Warriors by Taito. It is a side-scrolling beat-em-up. I'm assuming it was probably in the arcade. The sprites are really big in this game. That's one of the interesting things about it. I played around for about 20 minutes and I enjoyed it. Was not perfect by any means, but it was definitely fun. My initial impression of it is probably about a B, but this is definitely one of the rarer titles, I would say, for the SNES. You know, not like super duper rare, but probably in the top 30-ish, 40-ish rare games. So very happy to add this to the collection. And probably in the similar fashion as that, around the same range as far as price and rarity, is a game that I've had my sights on for quite some time. It is a Natsume title, and that is Pocky and Rocky, which is a kind of a... I don't know how to explain it. It's basically a shmup, shoot 'em up, but you also kind of like... I don't know, you have like a little bit more control. Like you're always like walking, like you're not like a spacecraft. It's interesting. I played this again for about 20 minutes and I liked what I saw. Definitely seems like it can get very challenging, so I don't know how we're going to be approaching that for the channel. You know, whether we'll just do a casual playthrough or a no-death run, who knows. But very, very happy to add this to the collection. Still need to get Pocky and Rocky too, but I believe that is way more expensive, so that'll be down the line. Alright, next is actually going to be an N64 game. Yeah, I know, a lot of N64 in this video. This is one of the few games that I had my eyes set on for quite some time. I liked a bunch of auctions on eBay, and lo and behold, somebody sent me an offer for a good price and I couldn't refuse it. And that is Ogre Battle 64. We still have some ground to catch up on, so to speak, for the Ogre Battle series, but I did want to get this. I heard great things about it. This is complete and in really good shape. This sticker is actually on the box, and I don't have any more boxes, so I'm just going to keep this. That sticker is on the actual box. What I meant by box was the clear case, and then the sticker that you see here is on the actual game box, which kind of sucks, but I'll just keep it there. Could you imagine if it was $44.99? That would be great, but it wasn't. I fired it up to make sure that it worked. The saves were still there. The music seemed great. The presentation seemed great. This seems like a bang-up game. You know, on a console that's starved for RPGs, I'm sure this is, from what I could see, probably the best one, to be honest with you. So, very, very happy to add this to the collection. We'll get to this at some point, just don't know when. Alright, and now we're down to the final three, which are super heavy hitters, in my opinion. The one is probably not as expensive as the other two, and I mean, I know it's not, but I don't see it as often. And I saw this, and I had to jump on it. It's a game that I already own the cartridge and the manual for, but I didn't have the box. I've already sold my double of the manual and the cartridge, and I just kind of kept what came with it. Part of my favorite game series. Had to actually order special box protectors for this because I didn't have any before. And that's Shining Force, a Sword of Hashia, which is technically what book or Shining Force Gaiden 2, I believe, which we did get on Sega CD. But yeah, this was complete in box for the Game Gear. The only time I saw this box over the last year and a half, the prices were outrageous. And this was missing the hang tab, which is fine, the price reflected that. It was super fair, and it was by far the lowest price that I'd seen in about 2 years, and I think I got this on Mercari. Very, very happy to add this to the collection. As you guys know, I'm a Shining Force super fan. And this was the last Shining Force game released in America in English that I didn't have complete in box. I have all the ones on the Genesis, you know, PS2, Game Boy Advance, blah, 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 blah. The Shining, not just Shining Force. Needed this one. Got it. Super stoked. I do need to cover this particular version of the game on the channel at some point. It'll be a fun playthrough, I think. A kind of a relaxing one at this point. So yeah, very happy to add this. Super stoked. Alright, and now the final two games for my favorite console, the SNES, that I've had my eyes set on for a while. One of the games I owned the actual cartridge, which I've already sold. But I wanted the box and the manual, which was pretty pricey. And then the other game was one that I didn't own anything for, and I wanted it complete, and that's like my holy grail at this point for the console, and I got it. I splurged. Wasn't cheap, but I got it. So first we'll get started with the one that I already had before, but now it's complete. Like I said, I sold my double, and the price for this was amazing. It was probably $200 cheaper than any other one that I've seen on eBay for the last 2 years. As soon as I saw it, I jumped on it. The guy was like upfront about it. He's like, I'm pricing it to sell. I realize it's probably worth more. Blah, 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 blah. He was very friendly. Got to me very quickly, and it's in wonderful shape. The manual is a little rough, but it's fine, because you know what? If you didn't use the manual, then what were you doing? But that's Evo, the Search for Eden. That's right, there is a tear up here, which doesn't really bother me because it doesn't affect the structure of the box at all. The box itself is in wonderful shape. Cartridge is in great shape. Battery backup still works. Like I said, the manual's a little rough, but for the price that I got this for, guys, I would much rather spend the $200+ less that I paid for this than to do a slight upgrade elsewhere. This is a very, very interesting game for those of you that don't know. It's basically a game about evolution. Like, you start your way out as like this little fish, like amoeba thing, and then you just keep growing. It's very interesting. I do want to cover this on the channel. I think I might make it a point to do this in 2023, because I've never actually played through it fully myself, so very happy to add this to the collection. And lastly, guys, my holy grail. Possibly the holiest of all my grails at this point. This was not cheap. And yes, I did put this on credit. And that is Harvest Moon on the SNES, a Natsume game. Most Natsume games are very expensive on the SNES. And since this is basically an RPG, I did want to get it complete. And as such, I paid for it. The good news about this one is it came with the manual, and it also came with all the inserts. So if I'm going to pay a little bit more for a pricey game, I'd rather it come with everything, and this does. Everything's in essentially, I wouldn't say immaculate, but very good shape. There's some wear here and there, you can see right there, but structurally sound. The game works, the battery backup works, the manuals and inserts are in great shape. This is definitely a game I will be covering. It's a little repetitive. I heard it's not the best, but it seems like it'd be very relaxing. And once in a while, I would love to do a relaxing series for the channel. And what better game than Harvest Moon? I also tossed around Animal Crossing in my brain a little while ago. Maybe that too, but definitely this first. So happy to add this to the collection. It is a SNES Grail. Probably the biggest one checked off my list now for SNES, so I'm so happy about that. Alright guys, that's it for the pickups. Can barely speak. Having a rough night tonight with my hive attack. Thank you for bearing with me. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys with the first pickups video of 2023 Again, this was recapping the stuff I got at the tail end of 2022. But my first actual 2023 pickups will, I'll see you then. So take care. And yeah, let's have a good 2023, shall we?